Hello, and welcome back to Versus Live, brought to you by Star City Games and Carnox Chairs. Make sure to check out carnox.com/SCG if you want to get one of these. And now it's going to be my turn. And I'm sure I'm gonna knock this thing over.
Actually, I went to their website the other day looking for a new chair.
Back.
And they're actually not as expensive as I thought they would be. I'm a big boy, and the big boy chair was about $400, I think. And for a gaming chair of this quality, I think that's like on the lower end. So pretty happy about the pricing structure for these. But they actually range widely in price, and there's different sizes and different builds you can get. But Carnox is.
Do they make them with ottomans? Can I get an ottoman? Because when I'm leaned back, I just want to put my feet up right now.
Get your feet off my feet. What are you doing? I'm not playing footsie with you right now. You were at work.
I'm just trying to put my feet up. Kind of tired. Maybe want to take a nap.
Neck hurts a little bit. Got that pillow going.
Yeah.
Can y'all even see him? Can you see him right now? Is he too low?
I can see a little bit of Ross down there at the bottom.
All right. Well, today we are basically focusing on some of the Dark Horse decks in Modern that came out of both War of the Spark and Modern Horizons. We have a lot of decks here featuring a lot of new cards, some reprints, some new cards in general. First match of the day, we actually had a Thopter Sword deck featuring Goblin Engineer and Urza Lord High Artificer, which actually took down a Dreadhorde Arcanist Crashing Footfalls?
Yes.
Crashing Footfalls kind of, graveyardy Dreadhorde Arcanist combo-ish deck.
Yep. And now we got two more nice ones. This is going to be a very attrition-oriented matchup, two mid-range decks with a lot of disruption and removal and some good creatures, but both featuring cards from Modern Horizons in interesting ways. I'm going to be playing an Esper Unearth deck. Mm-hmm. So we've got Jace Vryn's Prodigy, Snapcaster Mage, and Monastery Mentor as our Unearth targets. I think Unearthing Mentor is going to be particularly nice because it leaves a bunch of mana open to immediately cast some more spells.
Yeah.
Cantrips, so removal, discard, get some monk tokens onto the battlefield, and gain your value immediately. A lot of the time when you're playing Monastery Mentor, you're tapping out for it on turn 3 and sort of crossing your fingers. And as a 2/2, it pretty easily dies. So anytime you can get it onto the battlefield and defend it for a turn or get immediate value out of it, it's going to work pretty nicely. We've got some Force of Negations to protect it as well, which is pretty neat. But other than that, just cantrips, discard, removal, pretty typical mid-range deck, and you're playing the most typical mid-range deck.
Yep. So I'm actually going to be playing Allison Warfield's. We're calling it Wrenn Jund because the new card in the deck is Wrenn 6. Now, this Planeswalker only costs 2 mana. The only other Planeswalker that's ever cost 2 mana was Tybalt, the original Tybalt. Who's
the Fiend-blooded?
Sure, man.
Want to check me on that one, Rob?
I don't.
Yeah, sure. I'll
care.
bring up after I bring up Wrenn here.
Yeah, the relevant card.
Yeah. So 2 mana Planeswalker, you would think, okay, well, there's no way it can do anything that good, right? But in Modern, specifically with fetch lands, the plus lets you get back lands, which is pretty cool. It means that you can sometimes shave on lands if you want to, because a lot of times you go fetch land into Wrenn 6 on turn 2, plus get back your land, and you're just guaranteed to hit your 3rd land drop. So that functionality is pretty good. The other part of it is a minus effect that allows you to ping something for 1. Seems fairly innocuous, but if you've played enough Modern, you know that there are quite a few 1 toughness creatures running around, and for a 2 mana Planeswalker to come down and just like shoot a Noble Hierarch or whatever, like that's pretty darn good for 2 mana and leaving a Planeswalker around that can accrue value.
Yeah, I mean, when you're on the play playing Jund and they played a turn 1 Hierarch on the draw, you're usually killing that, sometimes with a 1 mana removal spell and not using the extra mana. This is a 2 mana way to kill it, lets you use all your mana, and in doing so, you get to leave behind a pretty powerful Planeswalker.
Right.
It's also preemptive removal for Thalia, Guardian of Raven, if you can get it down before they cast Thalia. Picks off other mana creatures, picks off Dark Confidants, and importantly, upgrades your lightning bolts, so now they're going to kill Thing in the Ice and other 4 toughness creatures that otherwise, might have been pretty difficult. So you're going to get a significant amount of value out of that ability using it once, twice, maybe even 3 times in a given game.
Yeah, the other part of it is the ultimate's actually not that hard to hit, and when you start ticking up on turn 2, and then you get to the potential to ultimate on, I believe, turn 5, that's pretty cool too, especially in a deck like Jund where you can protect it pretty well with your spot removal, your discard effects. The ultimate lets you retrace any instant or sorcery in your graveyard. That means that you get to discard a land from your hand to recast a Lightning Bolt or a Kolaghan's Command or what have you. And in a deck like Jund that has a lot of versatility among its instants and sorceries, type of effect, it's, it might not necessarily win you the game like a lot of the ultimates do, but on a 2-mana planeswalker, that is quite an effect.
Also means you're never going to flood.
Yes, that's
Just
also true.
Always have stuff to do. Definitely a powerful planeswalker. We've seen a bit of it in Legacy, in like Temur Delver and other strategies, and I think it slots pretty nicely into Jund as a way to gain card advantage, a way to make sure you hit your land drops, a way to pick off small creatures, and an ultimate that really is going to dominate the late game. So 3 really relevant abilities. It's going to almost always do something good when you draw it. You can rebuy things like if you have any Horizon lands in your deck, Feated Peat land.
Yeah, there's one in there, I believe. Also, if your opponent kills your Raging Ravine, you can get that back. There's a lot of versatility and utility.
Ghost Quarter, if you want.
Type of effect. Yeah.
That or Field of Ruin against Tron is going to be a nice combo. Not a lot of that deck of Tron floating around, so you probably don't need it. But if it arises, that's an option. So, definitely a good card and one that I'm excited to see, because I don't think we've played with this card on Versus Live yet.
No, we have.
It's one of the last frontiers for Modern Horizons. So I'm going to be on the play because I lost match 1. And we'll see how it goes.
Perfect. Double perfect. Hand's great.
Double perfect.
Well, I had 1 land in the first 5, and then I drew a fetch as my 6th. So,
Yeah. So you have Wrenn in 6 is what you're saying? I have a solid hand. It's a little awkward in that my lands are both shock lands, and I could slow play to save myself a good bit of life. And I think that's reasonable to do here, especially because I'm not sure what I need to find off of this yet. So I'm going to play tapped.
Woof. All right. Inky.
Okay.
All right. Well, Unearth is sort of the obvious target, kind of like a Kolaghan's Command, where if I take one of the creatures, he's just going to basically unearth.
Snapcaster lets me unearth.
Right. So there's no real way out. So maybe I should just target something like Opt or Fatal Push. Basically, if I take Monster Mentor, next turn he's just going to unearth Opt, and then I'm super far behind. So I guess, but if we take Snapcaster, then he can unearth Snapcaster, cast Opt again. This is... Maybe I just take Opt to maybe strangle his lands a little bit. I don't even know. I'm going to double discard next turn probably, so maybe... Okay. I'll start with the Unearth. Go. It takes a little more mana for him to snap Unearth at least.
Pass. Excuse me.
You got to push, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There. Inquisition again.
Okay, I really want to hit a 3rd land here, so I'm going to Opt in response.
Okay.
And that's kind of awkward. But it's basically the same as seeing another card, and I don't think the mana is super relevant, so I'm going to leave it on top and show you. I guess it's not if you take this with the Inquisition.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's not if you take it with the Inquisition. This is tough. Yeah, I think I need to actually hit the land. Let's bottom it. This is Serum Visions.
Yeah.
Not a great hit.
Force negation. Woof.
Now I think Snapcaster is the... Unless you want to take both Mentors.
I can't. If I do that, I think I just lose to land, snap, bring back Mentor with Unearth. That's so gross.
You don't have a removal spell?
I don't. I just have a lot of discard. Well, I'm definitely doing this turn, so let's do... if I take Snap Push, I can maybe stick a Bob next turn and maybe ride that out. So let's just do that.
That's reasonable.
Your
also
turn.
means if I hit a land, I don't really have spells to cast.
Right. That's another thing. We take all the...
Hit the land. We're definitely going to just cast Mentor.
Right,
so I'm
you're
taking
18?
2. Yeah, I'm at 18. Pass.
Bob Bolt. We drew a nice one. We drew a Bolt.
So you're at 19?
Yeah.
Probably. You go to
forest.
17? Oh, get a forest.
Well, maybe I should shock. I'm going to fetch shock because you have paths and stuff in your deck. Yeah. It's
You're at
important.
17.
You get overrun.
I'm going to play Monastery Mentor and then go to 16 and surgical your bolts and get a token. So this makes it harder for Todd to find another removal spell and gets me some value immediately.
And he definitely doesn't want to do this during the draw step. Also, I know sometimes people do that to get fancy, but you want to do that against sorcery speed cards, not instants. So
yeah. And let's see what you got. We've got a Goyf and Wrenn and 6. So at the very least, Todd can go Wrenn and 6, rebuy my fetch land Goyf.
Yep.
Which is pretty good.
But I'm probably going to shoot down this token, but
yeah,
we'll have to wait and see. All right, so we drew Black Cleave. Draw for turn.
Oh, you drew Liliana?
Did I? Did I, Ross? I did.
Yeah. Take 2. This attack only makes sense if Todd drew Liliana.
So what are you at? 16?
I'm at 14 because I paid 2 life for surgical.
14. Okay. Man. Yeah, I think I just Tarmogoyf here because if I play Wrenn and 6, I kind of expose it if I kill this because it's only a 2 and my Black Leaf Cliff comes in and play tapped.
Removal spell, please.
I have sorcery, land. You have instant creature, so 4/5. No, what'd you do?
Unearth
No!
Snapcaster.
No! God no!
Target fatal push.
I have a family.
I don't even know which one I want to hit. I probably just want to hit this and attack you.
I mean, why don't you just go crazy with the chain? I guess you can't. Never mind.
Yeah,
You can go snap unearth the other mentor.
And then opt and get 2? I think I'd rather...
You can't opt also because the target's mentor. Just snap push.
No, well, I can snap and then use this and use the second Black Source to unearth this and then opt. Or no, because
you don't get to opt.
That seems much worse. Let's just kill one of your things. I think I kill that because I'm attacking you for 7.
Yes.
Bringing you to 10.
You should kill that. All right. Ow. Ow.
You're at 10. That was really good.
Very, very good. Reveal. Ow. 7.
You're at 7.
Remember that thing we were talking about last match?
And Season Pyromancer seems pretty good.
It is pretty good.
I need to continue to draw spells.
Discard Lily of the Veil and Wrenn and 6.
So you get 2 Ross Miriams.
Yep.
And draw 2 cards.
Crap. I gambled and I lost. I need Ross to draw a land. Go.
And spell.
Ross was telling me I should call this deck Esper Mentor, and he's probably right. But that Unearth was one of the dirtiest things I've ever seen. It was so good.
I just made 3 creatures and killed yours. And pumped my team by 4 power.
Yeah, no big deal. What'd you draw? Do something.
I drew a good one.
Come on.
I'm just deciding which of your things I want to kill. I probably path this so you can't use the ability because you're going to have to block soon anyway.
Okay.
So now we've got a bunch of 2/2s and a 3/3. And if Todd has a push, he can kill my mentor anyway. I guess if I attack with everything, you can double block mentor and block snap and go to 1.
Yeah.
And then what do I lose to? Some way to deal with everything? I'd have 4 tokens. Maelstrom Pulse is a problem.
Yeah.
So I think I just don't attack with mentor.
I think I have 1 pulse. Let me make sure.
Yeah. I don't think there's any reason to expose it unless you have the push, which.
All right, let's go block token.
Yep.
Block snap.
Take 4.
Maybe I should chump.
You know the force of my hand, but
yeah, I know. My hand's pretty. I mean, I'm pretty.
Like you can just chump next turn with it, unless I draw a removal spell.
All right, yeah, I'll go to 3.
Yeah.
All right, so token down, snap down,
and pass the turn.
All right.
I'm not sold on the pitching of the Wrenn. I think that might have been a card that would help you out.
I had trophy. I wanted to draw in and trophy this.
Yeah.
All right, Inquisition you. Bob trophy. Go.
Is there any difference? I have 2 white, 2 black, 2 blue. You have 1 of each, so it doesn't really matter. I guess I'll get an island because it's better with snap and cantrips. So any removal spell and you're dead.
Mm-hmm. Any chain of draw spell into other instant sorcery kills me.
Yep. Snapcaster kills you because I have Path in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, what do I do if I completely brick? Because then you have Dark Confidant.
Probably shove.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, you could just like pass turn and hope I die to Bob. That's not that bad, I guess. So I have a decent amount of 3s and 4s to hit.
Well, thought seize you. I'll go to 12 and attack.
All right, block, go to 1.
I lose one of them.
3 tokens. Oh, no, you don't get another token.
You can go.
All right.
But you still have to deal with 2 tokens. Bloodbird Elf for Pulse.
That was pretty good. We got a good shot to come back now. Draw 2. Go.
This is going to be such a frustrating game to lose.
Sorry.
The gross part is if I had just passed, you drew Pirates, or you'd have just killed yourself with the Dark Confidant.
Yeah.
But there's no way that like...
I don't think that's right.
Well, leaving you at 1 and no board and me having two tokens.
2/1/1s.
Like,
I have to draw something that does something.
You have to draw Pulse, Bloodbraid, or Pyromancer.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably like a 5 or 6 outer.
What did you draw? Just a land?
Yep. I think I just shove, even though I'm pretty... Like, Todd sort of paused. I'm pretty sure he has the removal spell. But it doesn't get better.
Yeah, I'm dead. I drew a double red card. It's unfortunate. If I drew any other spell in my deck, I think or non-discard spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't
Okay.
get it. On the Path to Exile, I could have gotten a mountain instead of the second force, but I figured I had more green cards in my deck than red.
Yeah, didn't hard to think of Pyromancer drawing into Pyromancer.
I think in that spot, it's actually, it's always correct to attack because with the land in hand, you're very likely to lose if I have anything.
Yeah.
And also, you've already taken all my lightning bolts, so the odds of me having something in instant speed there is pretty low.
You can push trophy. Yeah.
But you've taken away a lot of my outs.
Yeah.
So, but at the very least, I think the real stick is that you're dead if I have anything anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's not
you
like
should always just shove.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just give me an out.
Yeah, things are just not getting better.
Mm-hmm. Oftentimes when you play Magic, sometimes not playing something is correct, because if you play something, sometimes you put your opponent in a spot where you force their hand to try to kill you, in a spot where
you don't have it.
You don't have it, yeah. All right, so we're going to sideboard here. Any questions for us while we're getting that together, Mr. Rob?
Yeah, we had a bunch of people talking about, Ross, why are there no baubles in your deck?
Well, it's not my deck, so I can't really speak to exactly what they're thinking, but that's definitely it's kind of an underpowered card, but it works very well with Mentor.
Mm-hmm.
It is a cantrip that does not work with Jace or Snapcaster.
Yeah.
So there's synergy with one part of your deck and dyssynergy with another part of your deck, and you kind of have to weigh those two things against each other. Now, given that I have dubbed this a Mentor deck already, I'm inclined to build more towards the Mentor part of it, which means I like the idea of Bauble.
Yes, same.
But it's certainly not a slam dunk because of the dyssynergy there.
So we were talking a little bit before the match, and I believe Edgar Magalhaes has been playing with Esper Mentor a bit as well, and his list does have Bauble in it. So if you want to check out his deck, make sure to go on Twitter and look him up. I don't know how to spell his last name, even though I spelled it yesterday when I was Facebook friending him to ask him how to build a deck.
So I'm going to be treating this like a Jundamir, which means I want to be bringing out my discard spells, but I have 6 discard spells and only 5 cards I really want. I think I'm just going to play 1 Brutality.
Sure. I'm not sure if cutting Trophy is right, but I feel like Ross's deck is a lot more like a Delver deck than it is a control deck. And while Trophy can hit Mentor, I think giving him extra, like he's pretty low on overall land count, I think, probably around like 20. And I think that with Mentor, like that's definitely the direction you want to go in general. And giving him an extra land with Trophy is pretty bad, especially when he doesn't have like Jason Mind Sculptors and stuff, you know.
Maybe instead I'll have a second Spell Pierce. There's already a Spell Pierce here in the main.
I like it.
Spell Pierce can like protect us from early discard, is a good thing to like hold up when you play Mentor, is very good against Liliana.
Now,
probably better than Brutality.
I'm bringing in Plague Engineer, naming basically for the monk tokens. We just shut that down, which I like. He has a reasonable amount of removal, so it's not going to get the job done. I like keeping in all my discard spells because Ross has a lot of spells that replace themselves, and he's very rarely going to be empty-handed. The only reason he was empty-handed that game is because I tore him apart. I think you should cut Force Negation over the Inquisitions for whatever that's worth.
I could cut Force Negation and Spell Pierce and leave in Inquisition.
I like that because being proactive with your interaction is good.
There's also Manic Surgicals. I got a lot of cards.
Yeah. I mean, the Brutalities aren't that bad because they can kill Bob and take a removal spell, or in the dark, you can just take a removal spell on too. But yeah, Force Negation, it's a lot like in Legacy, you cut Force Will a lot in the grindy fair matchups just because the 2-for-1 is a pretty big disadvantage.
Yeah.
Same reason why I'm cutting Assassin's Trophy. 2-for-1, big disadvantage.
I'm definitely not a big fan of Force Negation in the matchup, so we're a little underprepared. I would love to have some Lingering Souls here.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
I would like another fair hammer card. Like I would like a Kalitas or Olivia Voldaren, or even another Bloodbraid from the sideboard would be ideal. Yeah. Just so I can bring in something a little more powerful than an Engineered Explosives. So I need a lot of home runs off the top because we're just going to be low on resources on like turn 4.
Yeah, I've got some.
You have Narset. I don't really have a Narset type card.
You have Liliana Last Hope.
Yeah. Just want one more.
Yeah.
All right, what you got for me, Rob?
Also, what about Thought Scour in the Esper deck? Do you feel like that should be a worthy inclusion?
I was just thinking about that because it can help set up your unearths if you don't have a creature.
Transform Jace almost immediately.
Yeah. If you put Lingering Souls somewhere in your deck, like maybe you don't want it main, especially now with how fast the format is, but I think it's a very powerful sideboard card in certain matchups. Very good with Thought Scour. Maybe lets you play some number of Delve spells. Like maybe you don't want Tassiger, but you could play a Murderous Cut in your deck as a pretty reasonable one of. So thoughts, there's a lot of value in Thought Scour. I like it. I think it might be better than Opt in this deck.
Sure. I mean, if you just have an Unearth in your opening hand, but not a creature, like just Thought Scouring into a creature is nuts.
Yeah. Okay. Can you imagine going end of turn, Thought Scour, hit Mentor, untap, Unearth it, play a discard spell, take your removal?
Yeah.
They're just dead.
Real good.
Again, the game's over.
Yeah. All right, let's take a few questions before we get to game 2, Mr. Rob. If you got any for me.
So what are your opinion? This is kind of before the match. We had a large discussion going on about Hogak, obviously. What do you think is the more offensive card? Is it Bridge from Below or Altar?
Altar.
I mean, I think that Altar is significantly less good if there is no Bridge or Hogak. But of all the cards that I have seen in the deck, Altar is the most egregious by a significant amount.
Altar is the one that lets you... It's the one that does two things that I think are super degenerate. One is it lets you win outside of combat. And then two is it lets you recover from hate so quickly. And, you know, there's always going to be broken engines that exist in Modern. There's plenty of decks that can kill you on turn 2. Like, you know, the Cheerios or...
Even
like SRAM deck, like Infect. There are decks that can do these really powerful things, but when you have a deck that can do something that powerful, has an engine like that, and that's what Hogak and Bridge, in combination with Altar and other Sacrifice of X, allow you to do. That's the engine that is really powerful in the Goldfish, but Altar is a part of that engine while also being the one that lets you be resilient to Ensnaring Bridge and things like that, resilient to like them establishing a big board, and resilient to Graveyard Hate, which are the two most common ways that you combat Dredge. Graveyard Hate and things like Ensnaring Bridge are just going wider than them.
Yeah, I mean, even stuff like Anger of the Gods gives you some insulation from those recurring creatures, but with Altar Dimension, not only do you get a free sacrifice outlet, so they all go to the graveyard, but you get to mill your opponent out with it when you have Hogak because it's a self-sustaining engine. Now, if anything, I think I would ban either Alter or Hogak, but they're not going to ban Hogak because it's a new card and they want to show it off in their from their new set. But Alter is a reprint, right? That was just a mistake. Alter, aside from Hogak being just an insanely busted card by itself, it's lets you do some really ridiculous stuff in your dredge deck.
Should have just had a third colored mana in there. But.
Sure. I mean, even it would, it's the fact that it's self-sustaining with Alter and Alter is just a reprint. Just ban it. It's not a big deal. Just ban it. Who cares? All right, match. Let's go.
Here.
I'm on the play. Overgrown Tomb tapped. Pass.
Darkslick Shores, pass.
Let's get my Tarmogoyf busted up.
Indeed.
Here we go.
Crack for a plains, play a Jace.
Okay.
You can go.
Push your Jace.
That's-
Does that resolve?
Yep.
Okay. Don't want to get Force Negation. I assume it's not there. Unearth targeting Tarmogoyf.
You have Unearth?
I have 1.
That's gross.
It's pretty good with Wrenn 6. The retrace anyway.
Yeah, it does get that. So you have 3 in hand?
Mm-hmm.
I'm at 19 and Goyf is a 4/5.
I mean, if you say so. Look like a 3/4 to me though.
Land
no, it's
search
a
for
sorcery,
creature.
never mind.
Yeah.
For some reason I was thinking. Sorry.
Also, how relevant do you guys think these cycling are?
I mean, I've the first match we played with Unearth in my deck on Versus Live, I cycled it against, opponent went turn 1. I think it was Ross. Ross went turn 1 Grafdigger's Cage or something, and I just cycled 2 of them, and it was like, oh, this is great. My graveyard related card can turn to something else. My opponent has graveyard 8, so. Functionally,
Go to 18 and play a Mentor.
sure. Functionally,
You can go.
Unearth is very similar to. So you're 18, so.
Yep.
Functionally, Unearth is very similar to Claim to Fame, which already exists in Modern, and the back half lets you give the thing haste. But the thing is that Unearth works with 3 mana creatures, so you can bring back stuff like Ranger Captain of Eos if you want, which lets you go get
Mentor.
Monster and Mentor.
Season
which is huge.
Pyromancer.
Season Pyromancer is the big one, in my opinion. Well, that was good. Got him. Pay for 4.
14.
14. I've taken no damage from my lands. That's nice. Here, too. Or I should play this because I might want to discard the mountain next turn. Probably not, though. Whatever. I should still play this instead.
Go to 13. Where I assume I have Swamp. Yep. Okay. I finally drew a reasonable spell, so that's good. 2 in hand.
Yep. Do you shuffle extra so you can just think more while you're shuffling?
No, I've shuffled more than everyone forever.
You think that's why you have so many more draws than me?
I think most people don't shuffle enough.
That's fair.
So we've Mentor into Unearth, and I'm wondering, I think I want the Jace. The Jace is super relevant in getting back the push to deal with the Goyf.
Sure. No, that's fair. That's fair.
It's just,
Oh, sorry. You
Yeah.
put the Koval. I thought you were putting in the Jace. My bad.
no. You can go.
All right. Cards in hand.
2.
Draw for turn. Inquisition you.
2 lands.
Tilt.
It's another reason I wanted the Jace.
Take 1.
Okay, no removal spell, please.
Okay. I'll just draw 2.
Yeah, you'll take that one too. Are they both good? Yeah, I'll go to 6.
Here we go.
Loot.
Yep.
That's not bad. So we have a Jace. Okay, so here's my thing. I've got another mentor.
Okay.
And I'm definitely pushing. Question is what card I'm pushing. I have a fetch land in my hand that I can crack and deal with I can deal with this and then cleanly attack the Liliana. If I deal with the Goyf, I can still pretty cleanly attack with these two.
I don't think that the Liliana matters. I didn't take it up last turn, which means I have probably 2 spells in hand, and I didn't want to trade land for spell.
I guess that is another thing I can do. I can just kill this and then pass.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
I mean, I wouldn't even mind just going minus Unearth, get back another mentor, and then you make 2 tokens off of this, have 3 mentors, and
gotta kill your stuff.
Sure.
Good. Sure. I mean,
I got 2 Wrenn and 6 you. Sorry.
Are you proud of that one, Todd?
Yeah, very. Wrenn and 6 you. I can't even triple red you though. So actually, in my head, I was gonna, if I drew Wrenn and 6, say Wrenn and 6 you, but I only had 2 reds, so I couldn't do it.
I think I was pretty stable there. If Todd didn't find the 2 bolts,
2 bolts off of a freaking Seasoned Pyromancer, off of a Bloodbraid Elf. That was nice. That one felt good. Whew. I mean, you can see the resiliency that Ross's deck puts up, though, specifically because Unearth in tandem with Jace, Vryn's Prodigy, and Snapcaster Mage just lets them army in a can for 1 mana, or very small amounts of mana. I had to get very lucky to win that game. Ross had to not chump block with one of his tokens, and I had to draw 2 lightning bolts. And I had to hit real good off the Bloodbraid Elf. I could have hit a removal spell for one of the mentors off the Bloodbraid Elf, and that probably would have been okay. But I think I might have even killed Jace VP there instead because his hand was just 2 lands. So, I don't know.
I think at that, say I chump block with a token, and then, I have 4 more life then, so I'm at 10, and then I make the same play.
I just bolt both your mentors and you're dead. So
I have 2 tokens, and
yeah, I even drew Wrenn 6, so I can maybe start even cleaning up the tokens on the following turn.
Yeah.
And you're in basically chump block mode after that point because you're going pretty low.
So we did get a question from Estea, so I guess at a break from work. They asked, what do you think was keeping Mentor from being a very playable card?
So it's a difficult card to untap with. We've already seen Dark Confidant see a lot less play in recent years because the removal is just so efficient, especially since the introduction of Fatal Push. Mm-hmm. A Mentor can sometimes dodge the push, but it doesn't dodge Lightning Bolt, and we've moved more into a phase where Bolt is really popular. But with the printing of both Unearth and Force Negation, we have a way to rebuy a Mentor that dies, and then I have a bunch of mana untapped to immediately get value. Mm. And the other one gives you a way to tap out for that Mentor early and then protect it on your opponent's turn and untap and run away with the game. So we have multiple cards from Modern Horizons that really help make it easier to tap out for Monastery Mentor and not really care if they have the removal spell.
Yeah, it's I really like the card in tandem with Force Negation, like Ross said, just because you don't care if you're tapped out on your opponent's turn anymore. And it actually incentivizes you to have a disruptive package that features discard spells instead of counter spells. And with a card that's, kind of expensive on the curve like Mentor, you want to interact early. You don't want to have to hold up mana. And Force Negation kind of just tag teams with the rest of the disruption. Anyway, I'm on 6. And this hand is keepable. This hand's all right. Top card is good. Gonna keep it.
I really hate mulliganing in the discard spell mirror. This hand gets torn apart by a lot of things, but it's very good against a lot of other things.
Sure.
I think being a half and half hand that's also missing a black source.
Yeah, I mean,
means I can't keep it. I'm gonna mulligan this hand.
The black, snap, Narset, push.
Yeah.
That's a fine mulligan. I mean, if I just like turn 2 bob you and you don't have a black source on 3, you're dead.
I don't know. It's just discard spell for the Narset means that you have a ton of time.
Yeah. Like on my 7-card hand, I mulliganed 2 Tarmogoyf, Seasoned Pyromancer because I only had 1 red source. Like, I think that type of hand is just easy to throw back. What you got for me, Rob?
So this is more. This is my own question. This isn't really from chat, but there has been a bit of a discussion that somewhat is recurring on Twitter. Do you guys feel like fetch lands are design mistakes?
I've been saying that they're the biggest development mistake in the history of Magic.
I think that they were fine before Shocklands. Like, they were egregious in Legacy for fixing mana, but with Legacy not really in the spotlight, I think just having to shuffle your deck every single turn is A, miserable, and B, it just lets you cheat on mana so easily with very little drawback.
Yes, and that also just turns a million different cards. It just plays so well with a million different cards.
Yeah. Like the Delve mechanic, for example, is just disgusting because fetch lands exist.
Yeah. Okay. Delve, Landfall, Deathrite Shaman, Brainstorm.
Yeah, we saw Deathrite Shaman was like a non-card in Standard, right?
It's
like
a little bit of play here and there.
Yeah, very minor amount of play for a card that has been banned in Legacy and Modern, but
Yeah.
Fetch lands suck. I wish they were gone. If they came out with the London Mulligan and banned all fetch lands and Alter Dementia in like next Monday, I think is when they do the new ban restricted.
So, yeah.
If they don't, well, first of all,
the 8th is the announcement.
The 8th
so,
is
yeah.
it?
You can't ban fetch lands, so
I think.
Sure you can.
it would. I think it would restrict both Legacy and Modern way too much because those formats have been developed for so many years with fetch lands as part of it.
Yeah,
like you'd have to ban Blood Moon, you'd have to ban Tron.
Great,
like humans might be too good.
Sure. Just sometimes you just got to rip the Band-Aid off.
But I don't think it's necessarily it's just too. I think the wound is too deep at this point.
It's too interwoven.
It's like Brainstorm and Legacy. Brainstorm is obviously like way better than half of the ban list, but I guess if you ban fetch lands, then it wouldn't be. But
there it is. Just think, like, how many cards are just so much better because fetch lands exist.
Yeah, Sensei Stop,
any kind of deck manipulation with fetch lands is stupid. Anything graveyard that cares about raw cards in graveyard, even like Life from the Loam in your friggin' lands deck would be so much worse if you didn't have Verdant Catacombs and Wooded Foothills to sacrifice early on. All right, 19 Inquisition. Okay, so this hand is...
Favorite comment from chat on that is, I would riot. I just bought Tarns.
Sell them.
I mean,
sell them right now. You got one day. Man, this hand is...
I own probably 25 or 30 fetch lands. Like,
the card in this hand that I'm most afraid of is Snapcaster Mage, so I think I'm just going to take that.
Pretty common from the Jund deck to take snaps off their discard spells.
Yeah, here you go.
Pass.
Just think about how much raw time has been consumed shuffling decks. Just think about that for a minute.
You're at 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gonna pass it?
Nope. I'm gonna go to 17.
Bounce it.
Bounce it.
Push it. Bop it.
Get a
Smash
Watery Grave.
Yeah.
Actually, do I get a Watery Grave? Or I think I actually get Godless Shrine here because I have multiple white cards in my hand. Do I not have a Godless Shrine?
We can pretend you have a Godless Shrine if you don't.
Now, if Todd tries to replay his Tarmogoyf, I have likely Path plus Mentor next turn.
Pisteus says, but mass shuffling is the only cardio I get.
Got 17 all.
Go.
plus.
It's a 3/4 Goyf, right?
Yep.
It's going away soon. I'll go to 15 for the Hallowed Fountain, play a Monastery Mentor, and pass the turn. I'm going to get the token regardless, so there's no reason for me to... I mean, I can just wait this entire time.
It's fair.
Path it, get a monk.
Let's get a red.
Has the potential of keeping Todd off of 4 mana for this turn. Still 5 cards over there.
I'm gonna shock and fetch.
So you're going to 14?
I'm gonna take 2 more.
Going to 12. Ooh. What do we cast? Wrenn and 6, I assume, is getting cast.
I'm gonna Fatal Push the Mentor and Liliana Last Hope the token.
That's pretty good.
So green, red, black. Got enough black, so yeah. Token, push. This is at 4. Your turn.
Okay, let's plus this again, and then we'll play Jace and purge the Liliana.
Woof. That was good.
Yeah. Pass the turn.
Too bad I have perfect answers. Let's go. I'm actually going to play this. I'm going to push that, bolt that, and tick up. Bye. Bye your hand. Turn. Well, this deck's just... Look, and now I draw Seasoned Pyromancer and I go off. Just draw 2 cards, you know? Go.
Go.
You draw Spell Pierce or something? Inquisition? Aww. Yeah, see, I don't have a creature, so I'm going to cycle this. Take up. Go. Well, if it was a discard spell, it would still be bad, so.
Go. Just draw any good card.
Attack you for 4.
At 11.
Go. Well, he could have ultimate and popped 3 of his lands, but I didn't want to lose my Lily. So, trigger.
I think
11? Yeah, it was at 12.
It's 1 short.
All right, get half of them. I don't care which half. You choose.
I mean, it's very relevant when I have 2 fetch lands, and you're putting me to a virtual
2
1.
2 fetches are in the 4 stack.
Yeah, so you have like 2 fetches, the Godless Shrine, and a Hallowed Fountain versus the other 3.
Yeah, that.
And I know you have a Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
So this is good.
So you have to keep this, I think. Because, I mean, your fetches are dead, so you either get basically these 2 or these 3.
Yeah, but I think the only way I survive is if I draw... no, Snapcaster won't do it. Unearthing Snapcaster is what I'm talking about.
Snap Path helps.
No, because it doesn't deal with the Ravine, so you just bolt the Snap and Ravine me.
No, you wait till I either tick up with Lily or whatever, and then...
Unearth Sorcery.
No, if you draw Snapcaster.
Have an actual Snapcaster? Yeah, but then you just tick up Lily before you activate. So that doesn't do it.
So I tick up Lily. You play it, you target Path.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just can't attack with a Ravine.
Yeah, so I guess I have to keep this. Okay.
I mean, I'm just trying to think. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you got it.
All right.
Go to 3.
3. No, that's 4.
Yeah, that's 4, 5, 6. Oh, so I'm at 5.
You were at 11, I thought.
Yeah. No. So that's 7. So I'm at 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Well, I don't know how
I don't know what's happening there.
I'm dying. That's what's happening. I cannot believe you just said Lily Bolt.
That was a good turn. It was a great.
At least
turn.
if you had to Lily sacrifice, I had opt plus a draw to Fairy to do something.
Yep.
And that was after you having a Liliana and a removal spell to deal with both creatures there.
And I mulliganed.
We both mulliganed, but
Yeah.
I
But my
thought-
draw was nice.
I just drew Swamp.
Okay.
And then from the moment you played Liliana and emptied my hand, I drew 3 lands and a Pierce.
Yeah. Hate to see it. Give me them damn marbles.
Well, I hate playing matchups like this. Like everybody just wastes each other's resources, and it's like, well, I hope I don't draw 3 lands in a row. Give me a resource-rich game where we both get to do things.
Nah.
Because then I'm going to transform Thing in the Ice and return 3 Arclights. And
Look, if you just want to play Phoenix in every video we do, personally, I'd be fine with it. I like playing with and against Phoenix. It's one of the most fun matches to play against, especially after sideboard when I can potentially contain all the different types of threats. But we got to just show off weird stuff.
I know. A little light in a matchup like this from my list. I would like to see some Lingering Souls, some other more powerful threats in the matchup. Like Mentor when it gets going, and we saw the one time I was able to snap unearth snap and do a bunch of stuff and have Mentor live. And when I got things going, it went well. Whereas when we were both sort of gimped playing a bunch of removal and stuff, and I wasn't able to get my synergies going, your threat still just trumped mine. I guess you did draw a couple. You have more Planeswalkers in your deck. That's really helpful. I wasn't able to. I drew a Teferi, and I didn't draw any of the Narsets, which are the really big one.
Yeah. I just want to say, in game 1, I hit you with 3 Inquisitions in the first 2 turns. Took away basically your entire game plan. I left you with 2 Mentors and a Force of Negation in hand.
Yeah.
And I was dead on turn 6. Not virtual dead, actual dead on 6. After hitting you with 3 discard spells. And my hand wasn't bad. I had freaking Tarmogoyf, Bloodbraid into Season Pyre. I just died.
Well, I mean, you say you just left me with Force of Negation and a couple of Mentors, but Mentor doesn't take a lot to go off.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you left yourself not poorly. You had to. It was the best line.
Because you were just going to get them back anyway.
Yeah, you left yourself in a precarious position where if I just draw non-creature spells off the top, those Mentors are going to get out of hand, and that's what happened. So I had a hand that was pretty resilient to discard in that respect, which is good. It's nice to be able to have hands like that were pretty threat dense. In the other games, you were able to put a ton of pressure on me while I was getting set up, because the other issue with these Esper decks is they have that glut at 3. One of the reasons I think this deck doesn't have souls in it is because you already have Mentor and you have Teferi. And Teferi is quite good. So you have 6 3-drops in the deck already. It's hard to fit many more than that. You're playing 3 Pyromancer and 4 Liliana?
3 Lily main, and then there's 1 Last Hope in the sideboard, and 2 Bloodbraid Elf. So my curve is a bit higher, which means in the top deck wars, I'm going to be pretty good. But you have not only Unearth for Jace or Snapcaster Mage, but you also have Jaces and Snapcaster Mages, which as the game goes along, those bodies start to actually matter a lot. Especially the Snapcaster body being able to pressure an opposing Liliana after I minus it on something.
Yeah, trades with Bloodbraid Elf and does a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and the Unearth chains with Snapcaster Mage are just disgusting sometimes. If the game goes long enough and I've bolted and pushed a bunch of creatures, sometimes you just get to go Unearth Snap, Unearth Mentor or whatever, and that's stupid.
And my curve is a little bit lower than yours, but I'm also playing a bunch of cantrips, so I'm going to see the 3-drops that are in my deck a little bit more often. So I'm going to play functionally like I have a few more than that with the cantrips in the deck. So, and Jace, looting, things like that. So the curve seems about on point. But I think you're a little shy for matchups like this, which makes sense. They're not super popular, though. John did win the MCQ.
Yeah, and not this particular version. This, of course, is Ali Warfield's version. But I think that this build of Jund is quite good. I love the kind of cutting back on Bloodbraid down to 2 makes your deck a lot leaner. I think Wrenn 6 gives your deck a bit of versatility when it comes to that 2-drop slot. You're not just bottlenecked into playing either Tarmogoyf or Dark Confidant. There's very clear spots where one is better than the other in some matchups. But sometimes now you have this third option in Wrenn 6 that if your opponent doesn't deal with it, it's just going to let you hit land drops perfectly. And then also sometimes just pick off real annoying 1-toughness creatures. And I think that kind of added benefit and the threat of the ultimate going crazy with Lightning Bolt or even Unearth sometimes is really, really nice and just feels like it's not insanely powerful like you would expect some Planeswalkers to be because it costs 2 mana. But for 2 mana, that versatility is just so interesting. Just makes me drawn to it, drawn to the deck in general.
Yeah, Jund is always on the lookout for really efficient threats, and for what it does, Wrenn 6 is quite efficient.
Yeah, we didn't quite see it in that match, but I mean, there was one time where because of how Ross drew, I needed to actually discard it to a seasoned Pyromancer. But I think in general,
the way that game played out, you might have won if you'd kept the Wrenn 6. I think it was right at the time.
Yeah,
what you did.
I needed the land to hit the Mentor.
Yeah, but taking out a token or two, and I think you would have snuck by there. Game one was a real squeaker with me making that attack, hoping you didn't have a removal spell off the Pyromancer. But you obviously can't bank on yourself hitting, not hitting the land and then hitting Bloodbird Elf into the Pyromancer, draw 2 cards. Definitely an unlikely series of events to end that game on both sides. So 2 interesting decks. I think the Esper deck could use more ways to close out the game. I think that's going to be an issue with it. It's got all this good disruption, and one of the things that I think people who have continued to play Jund have realized about the deck, I know JD and Clemparents has said this multiple times, that it's much more aggressive than most people suspect, and they don't play it as aggressive as they need to, because the deck's gotten a little bit less powerful relative to the rest of the format, so you need to be able to close out games faster, and that's one of the things Bloodbird Elf does allow you to do.
Yeah.
And there really isn't a comparison in this deck, and in terms of the clock, outside of the games where Monastery Mentor goes nuts. And I think you're winning those games most of the time regardless, so you really don't have that same way to apply a lot of pressure, and that is an issue, but definitely a very powerful deck in what it can do, because not only are the individual cards pretty powerful, only half a step maybe behind Jund, but there's a lot of synergies going on, and those synergies raise the power level when you get to assemble them.
All right, anything from chat before we move on, Mr. Rob?
Yeah, Sauce the Fourth was wondering, why weren't you playing 4 Unearth since it could be cycled? Do you think that there's like a certain... Is playing 4 too many versus playing 2 or 3?
Yeah, I mean, cycling a card for 2 mana in Modern is not something you want to do that often. It's a pretty inefficient use of your resources for such a fast format. So you don't want to flood on Unearths early. You don't have a ton of creatures. Thought Scour could help out Unearth by putting creatures in the graveyard directly. And you really need to be interacting early, so you need to use a lot of space on interactive spells. So the way the numbers work out, I think 3 makes a lot of sense. Todd named the deck Unearth. I think it's more of a Mentor deck myself. And if you think of it that way, then maybe Unearth doesn't center in your mind as a card that is the critical card in the deck, and that should be a 4 of. But the cycling is a nice bonus on it. And sometimes when you draw it late, like Todd did there in that last game, it's going to be good to have the cycle. But it's certainly not something you want to do when you have 2 Unearths early and just use your entire turn 2 cycling card.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, a lot of times with cards that cannot be cast immediately upon being drawn, you don't want to play 4 of them, because if you draw them in an opportune spot, you're going to be stuck with it in your hand for at least a turn, maybe multiple. And if you don't have the time to cycle it, you're just going to have a hand clogged full of this kind of niche card. It's also not a great card in general against combo decks, because they're not really trying to kill your creatures. One of the reasons why it's so good in the Esper Mentor deck is because your opponent is usually targeting Lightning Bolt, or using Lightning Bolt to target Monastery Mentor early on, and then that lets you go 1 mana Mentor again with mana to do other stuff.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, I think comparing it to something like Kolaghan's Command is reasonable, because the 3 mana cost of Kolaghan's Command often makes it, even in a deck where it's just busted good, like with Grixis control deck with Snapcaster Mage or whatever, like you can't play too many, because sometimes you'll draw 2 and you just don't have the time to get full value out of them. And I think that with Unearth, it's not really mana that's the problem. It's the fact that it's situational in some matchups.
Yeah, needing to have a creature to target and then things to follow it up.
Yeah.
When you're unearthing Monastery Mentor, you often want to follow it up with other things. You don't have another creature in the graveyard, so second Unearth isn't really a 1 mana sorcery for it, because you do need the target, and that is another issue. You just get bottlenecked on the number of things that you can bring back.
Yeah. Let's do one more.
Do you think that this Jund deck has a chance of being competitive with the Modern Horizon updates, like going forward? I know it just won a tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. It did. So I just wanted to point out, I played the MCQ on Sunday, and I played Is It Phoenix. I went 7-2. That means there were 9 rounds of Swiss. 358 players were in that tournament, and that means Jund beat out 357 other players That's a large tournament. That is bigger than some opens. It's not as many rounds, but you can also just take old opens.
Yeah. There hasn't been an open under 350 players in quite some time. 5 years.
What about the No Banless Modern Open? Pretty sure that one was under 350. Got him! Got him! That was less than a year ago. Got him!
Technically right. That's kind.
Just calls them like a season. Anyway, long story short, huge tournament. The weight behind the results, I put a significant amount of weight behind the results of the MCQs on Magic Online because you can't lose. If you take a second loss, very often that eliminates you from the tournament. Either if you're X1 going to the top 8 and you take a second loss, you're dead. And a lot of times in the Swiss, if you take a second loss, you don't make the cut because a lot of times there's like one person out of 20 plus 7 and 2s that make it.
So do you know who that one person was in the MCQ on Sunday?
Was it the Jund winner?
Yeah.
Nice.
They were the only person from 8th to 30th for the X2 bracket.
Well, that means they probably start off 7-0 and then lost 2 in a row. Because that's just how the breakers tend to work out. Anyway,
yeah.
Long story short, I put a lot of weight behind results on those MCQs because they're usually like I played against Caleb Scher in round 1. I played against Oath McNamara, who, if you know, is like one of the better deck builders on Magic Online, a huge legacy fanatic.
You see a lot.
Legacy fanatic. I think they were one of the miracle gurus on Magic Online for a long time in Legacy. I played against just a ton of ringers throughout my 9 rounds and had a lot of really great matches. But Jund won the tournament. I think that it's probably very good and has the sideboard capacity to handle Hagak and its ilk. I think that you might struggle against traditional Azorius control. But if people kind of stay away from that deck, because I don't think that deck is particularly good against Is It Phoenix. Even with Narset, I've just been clowning it. I think that Jund might be a good choice.
Yeah. It's hard to know exactly how things are going to shake out in Modern because I'm expecting a ban for the Bridgevine deck.
Oh, once that happens, we'll just have to reset.
Yeah, things really change, but Wrenn 6 is definitely a good card in the deck. There's also some lists that are playing Crushing Footfalls.
Yeah, I've seen those. You suspend it on turn 1 sometimes, and then on turn 5 you just have a couple 4/4s, and that's pretty cool.
Well, sometimes you just hit it off Blubbery Elf and Yahtzee.
Yeah. Got him. All right. Well, that's going to do it here for our second match today, but don't go anywhere. We have one more match coming up for you. Preview time.
We got Green White Infect.
Yes. So Selesnya Infect. This is a list that I pulled straight from Magic Online 5.0 deck lists, and I played 2 leagues with it. I went 8-2 over the 2 leagues. The deck felt really powerful. I was quite happy with the results. Giver of Runes, a great card for the strategy. Giving your creature unblockable by giving it protection. Also, basically, just it plays the role of a 1-mana Spellskite, and I think that is a great card for Infect.
Yeah, definitely a very powerful card for the archetype. And then I'm going to be playing the Black-White Obliterator deck. This is from the top 4 of the MCQ, Kilogerm, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yes, so it's sort of a mono-black devotion deck. There's Grey Merchant of Asphodel. We're just touching white for a few things, but it's kind of
the
zombie.
white cards are quite good.
Yes. They, I believe it's Lingering Souls.
Mostly the sideboard cards are huge.
Yeah,
you get to play Rest in Peace and not really worry about having to have Leyline in your opener. There's or Stony Silence or whatever. The white gives you that versatility that a monocolor deck could not really do. And with fetch lands, you get to play Fire Extinct Obliterator in your black-white deck, even though it costs 4 black.
Yep.
Because none of your lands have for only white.
Welcome to fetch lands. They're great. But a deck that it's been sort of popping up here and there for a while now, and finally put up a really strong result in the big tournament, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a short break here. Can we do 6 minutes?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. We're going to take a 6-minute break, get some water and stuff. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for more Versus Live.